All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening whenever you are watching this video. Um, this video is, or was created, and this slideshow was created um, to talk to you a little bit about creating a culture. And not just creating a culture that is driven towards a test or driven towards um, data, but we're going to go a little bit further beyond that today. So what I want to get from this, and the main theme behind creating this video for you, is to talk about this idea of keeping the end in mind. And I think it comes back to that big question, why? If our only purpose, and we'll get into this more, is to have higher test scores and to have um, to be the district school that brings the attention because we have high test scores, then are we doing exactly what we need to do for our students? So, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that data and tests are a bad thing, and being a data-driven school is bad. I think it's a part of it. But today we're going to focus on having the end in mind and creating a culture that prepares students for life, for what they're going to see in the future. So before we move on, I underlined creating, I underlined the word culture, prepares, and students. And then the last one, and for me, the most important one at the bottom, is life. So for life, after school is a career or college for these students. So we're going to talk a little bit about, as you will see as we move forward, career and college readiness. I think that's a buzzword that has been floating around our school here at Mint Hill Middle. And I kind of want to just scrape the surface of what that may look like if we are going to change and become a career and college ready school that prepares students for life after K-12 education. So I know I kind of rambled a little bit, but just to keep us focused, so I don't have a 30-minute presentation. I always have to make an objective page, and the first objective will be purpose behind the word culture. I think the word culture is exciting. I think for a school and for teachers and educators and administration, I think building a culture is something that we should look at as exciting. That is what represents us. When we are looked upon as a school, this word culture, what are we reflecting to the community? What are we reflecting to the parents? What are we reflecting to the students and to the district? So the culture is it's our root that holds us into the ground, is what is going to give us flight to success as a school. So the word culture should be exciting when you hear that. Statistics and examples. So this PowerPoint was created from a YouTube clip, and before I even speak any further, a guy named Bill Daggett. I copied the link and posted at the very end, and you will see that. You should definitely check it out. It is long. It's an hour-long video. It's worth every second of the video. So I highly recommend that you check that out. Those statistics and examples and the stories that I will tell along with that come straight from Bill Daggett. Next point is college and career ready schools. We will discuss what it looks like to be a college and, in all caps, not college or career, college and career ready school. Apologize for the bell in the background. 3 recommendations from Bill Daggett, and that will be towards the end as well. And we will talk about these 4 points, and I will try to keep us on track as much as I can. So the focus, so let's focus on culture. What does that look like? Not just a culture, but a culture that supports change. So I think as educators, we have to understand that society and the world is changing. We move from a 20th century to the 21st century, and we have to prepare our kids for the 21st century. It's never going to stop changing. So as educators, we have to understand that we have to keep up with the curve, and we have to change as well in order for us to be a successful school. If we're not preparing our school or our students for an ever-changing society, then we're not doing our job. So geared towards college and career readiness, that is what our culture has to stand firm on. It's not just preparing these students for a test, not just looking at data and seeing positive change in data, but what is that data reflecting? What are the tests that we are giving our students reflecting? Is it just, are we just preparing them for a test to get have better scores as a school to increase our grade, or are these tests reflecting what society is going to throw at these students when they graduate? And a quick example from Bill with gearing towards college and career and college readiness. It was a pretty cool example. He asked the crowd during his presentation, he said, what is fifth grade preparing students for? Come on, what's fifth grade preparing students for? And someone in the audience raised their hand. They shouted out. They said, sixth grade. All right, what's sixth grade preparing students for? Seventh grade, and so on. You see the trend. And that's not the goal. And he said a couple other things, and his point was, if all we're doing is preparing our students for the next grade, for the next standard in that grade, for the next test in that grade, are we doing our job? Each school, K-5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12, each grade level has to have the end in mind. What are we preparing our students for in that grade? Is it just the next grade, or are we preparing them for a career? Are we preparing them for college within that grade? So I thought that was a great example. And then he made it personal. He said, who has children in the room under or that are going to be graduating high school in the next year? And he made it very personal. And he said, we can't think of these students as just that we're not able to relate, or we don't really see it having an impact in our lives. But this is the next generation. He says, these are our kids that are going to be dealing with the next slide that I'm going to show you about. So we made it very personal, that the next generation is going to have a huge impact on what direction we head as a country and where we head in society. So he did a great job of making it personal. I highly recommend that you check it out. So some statistics that I want us to take a look at. Very interesting. The graduation rate was the highest it has ever been. So in 2014, when he had the video, or when he did the YouTube video, they were the highest that they had ever been. So more standards. As teachers, I can get in conversations and say, there's too many standards, too many tests. We're teaching towards the test, and we're testing these kids too much. But something's working. It's working. So the graduation rate was the highest it's ever been. But here's the issue. Here's where the issue comes into place. And he gave a military example. So it says 70% can't make the cut for the military. This used to be a fallback plan. 28% failure rate on the ASVAB, which is an academic admissions test. They now have a multiple choice test that students take. 30% not graduating high school. And then you have health-related, obesity, and then legal issues, 10% make up the other 10%. So that's how we get that 70% that can't make the cut into the military. You have to have a GED. So if they're not graduating, 30% not graduating, we have 70% that cannot get into the military. Question is, if they are not ready for the military, what makes us think that they are ready for a career? And then he went on to say 70% headed to public assistance. That's our next generation. 70% headed to public assistance. If they're not ready for the military, how are they going to be ready for a career? So we have to look deeper. College graduation. This is for a two-year college. 55% make it to the second year. It's over half make it to the second year. Four-year colleges, 65.2 make it to the second year. College graduation rate is opposite of those numbers. What's the problem? 36.5 graduate after 5 years for a 4-year school. So our college graduation rates aren't great. If we look at, hey, let's just push our kids into college. Let's get them there. Let's get them there. Is that our end goal, just getting them to college? What about graduating college? That should be our what we focus on. How many of our students, our K-12 students from Charlotte-Mecklenburg School, or that moved from Mint Hill to Independence High or Butler High, how many of them are graduating? Not just getting into college, graduating. Another interesting fact, upstate New York people under the age of 40. So people in upstate New York under the age of 40, college school loans exceed the total of all home mortgages and credit cards combined. So what are we preparing our students for? 38 million jobs last month, by the time this video was recorded, had been vacant for 6 months, but unemployment's through the roof. What is that telling us? One, it tells us our students don't know what they need to major in. Top major was business. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And the other one was general studies. So what are we preparing our kids for? Are we preparing them for the 21st century? Are we preparing them for college? Are we preparing them for careers? So we have to ask ourselves those questions. There's great statistics that back that. So what is this college and career readiness that the buzzword that's kind of been flown around our school? So we have to make sure that we're gearing our school culture, that buzzword culture, to prepare students for the real world. First, we have to understand what is the real world demanding of the next generation. What does the next generation, what are they going to step into? And I think we do a great job. We're already off to the right, on the right foot here at Mint Hill Middle with our club time. We give students the opportunity to jump into something that during the club time that they really want to pursue. Maybe it's coding with one of our CTE teachers, or online gaming. And there's a lot of different options that we already have that are preparing students for this, the 21st century. We do a great job at collaboration between grade levels. One of the things Bill Daggett said was to take away the department chair. Let's have a culture of collaboration where PE teachers are meeting with math teachers and math teachers are meeting with science teachers, and we're all on a PLC and we're collaborating about what's best for the students and how we can integrate into a classroom. And I think we do that very well. Peer observations here help with that, help us to become a career and college ready school by just bouncing ideas. What are you doing in your class today? Or what's this unit look like? Or how could I put that into my classroom? So we do a great job already in getting our culture established. So moving down to the next point, if high school graduation rate were the highest ever, why are we seeing such a problem? So we're doing something right. I don't want this to be a negative video. I want us to be encouraged by this, that we do have students graduating from K-12 schools. But we can't afford to lower the standard in school. If the world outside of school is raising the standard, we can't afford to lower the standard. So we have to really look into what we're teaching our kids. What are our standards developing or demanding of us as teachers and as students? Keep in mind, culture trumps strategy. Culture of our school, whatever we focus that on and whatever direction we move with that, culture trumps strategy. 3 recommendations from Bill before I close. 3 of them. First one, create a culture that supports change. We have to be able to change. We can't be afraid of change. We can't just sit in what we're comfortable in because time will pass us by. I think we all know that. We have to get our community, we have to get our parents, we have to get our teachers and the students on board for this culture of change. We have to be supported from all areas to see positive change. We have to have a deep needs assessment. So as we come to the end of 2016-17 school year, we have to analyze where are we now and where do we want to go. And we do that at the end of every year, but this year we really have to focus on, where do we want to head? What are these standards demanding of our students? What are the tests demanding? What are we doing with the data that we collect? Is it just to say, hey, we're an A school, we're a B school? What is it doing for our students? What are we preparing them for? Professional development, and I put ×3 because it's so important. We have asked teachers to do what they have not done, including myself. We're going to have to step out of our comfort zone again. Train to teach 21st century skills, whether that's new technology, new online tools that we're using, whatever that may be. We have to train for 21st century skills. Change is okay, and it takes time. This doesn't have to happen overnight. It's going to be a team effort, and I'm excited to see what takes place. Let's see, how will we monitor our success? We have to continue to evaluate college and career readiness data reports. So all the data that we're getting, it's important. I'm not throwing it to the side. The EVOS reports that come from NCDPI, all this data that we get from EOGs and EOCs, that's important. We have to analyze it and see where our students stand. Take note of change that has taken place at our school on a quarterly basis. This is a way for us to stay encouraged, to see that change happening. And then ask our community parents and students for feedback each year, if not semesterally. What are you seeing in the community that's a great need in Mid-Hill? And how can we get involved with that? How can we prepare our students for the challenges just within the radius of our school? These are just a couple ideas of how we can monitor moving forward. I know I'm scraping the surface with this idea, but I do want to get this out there to you, and I do want you to have the opportunity to watch this video. Extremely powerful, great video. I'll leave you with this one last thing before I stop the recording. What we report is what we value. So if we value high test scores, is that truly what we want as a school? If we value a state test that lowers standards, can we expect positive change? So what are we valuing? Are we valuing the success of our students in a 21st century? Are we preparing them? I think that's the question I want to leave you with. Shoot me an email with some ideas, some thoughts. Maybe you think I'm crazy. I don't know. Hopefully you watch the video. It's extremely powerful. It definitely gets you thinking. I could not cover everything in the video in 15 minutes or however long this video is. So please take a look at it. Hope you enjoyed.